Good morning and happy Sunday, the day of rest.
Well, kind of, except for during harvest and planting season. It's also a day of work. We do start a little bit later though. First thing on our agenda today is I got to dump off the rest of the beans I had left on from the other field. Wasn't very much, like 8,000 pounds. I'm going to put it on the 10-wheeler and hopefully finish this bin. If not, this next few loads out of the field we're in right now will finish it. And then we may be done cutting beans for a while. I'm not entirely sure. Sometimes you really don't know what's happening until you're doing it. Since we've kind of taken it easy this morning and delayed our start a couple hours to let everyone get to church and do everything they like to do on Sunday morning, I'll give the tractor a couple minutes to get warm. I'm reasonable with my expectations. It also looks like before I leave here, I ought to top off my fuel tank. You know, I've really used a lot of fuel, a whole 3 bars at most. Once we start picking corn though, I'll suck down the fuel in this grain cart. There's a lot of things about these 9R tractors that I enjoy, but my favorite part of them on an ergonomic standpoint is that there's a fuel tank lid on both sides of the tractor. Very convenient when you only have a small farmyard and your pack rats with equipment.
That was barely even worth turning the tractor on for.
34. So that's 67 gallons of diesel. Haven't used a whole lot. Guess that's a good thing.
I just took a sip of my energy drink and somehow in that process, I must have gotten diesel fuel on it. I really don't know, but I'll tell you this, my research does indicate diesel fuel tastes exactly the same as how it smells. Take that for what it's worth. Oh. I got diesel fuel in my mouth now.
So this morning, once these beans dry out, which shouldn't take too long with the amount of sunshine and wind we have, we're going to fill the rest of this bin.
Probably only take a couple thousand more bushels. We're already pretty close to full. Maybe 2 or 3 loads out of the next field and this thing will be topped off.
We like to get this done and out of the way. That way we can take the auger down, close the bin up, and not have to worry about filling it for the rest of the season. Then our only problem is going to be what we're going to do with all this grain. There's the view from the top of our spreader. Beans come out of the auger, drop into there, and it throws them around. Really nothing too complicated there at all. The rest of the beans we're going to use to fill this is coming from that farm you can see right down yonder, south of that cornfield. Probably not going to be able to cut them all. They're just not maturing at the same pace due to different soil types and conditions out in the field. We'll easily have enough to cut though to finish this bin off.
Also, if you enjoy grain bins, the people who load them and the people who climb them, make sure you like the video. And it was a lot of work getting up here. I mean, that was like a 30-foot ladder. You know I don't like to work that hard.
A lot of the corn you can see from this view, this cornfield, the cornfield on the other side of the bean field, corn over there, corn over there. I mean, there's probably 600 or 700 acres around here of corn. We're going to try and fit in these 5 bins. It will take a significantly less amount of time to fill the bins with corn than it did to take to fill this with beans. Look at that view though. That looks like that's going to be a little rough. Actually, there's a few of them out there. Better wear my seatbelt in the grain cart. But that's your bird's eye view of the farm. I've been really disappointed with these Keen work boots. I've had these less than probably 9 months at this point, and they're falling apart. And they're lighter boots, maybe that's just par for the course. When you pay a couple $100 for a pair of boots, you want them to last. That was really holding the head on. These straps are more of just a backup. You really got to consider how much this platform weighs. It's probably close to 3,000 or 4,000 pounds. It'd take a pretty good bump to jar it free from the trailer, but it's definitely possible. I've heard stories. Surprisingly, the 9670 is a little bit faster than the S670. I would think it'd be the opposite. Maybe it's because this has the 3-range transmission where the S670 has the 2-range Pro Drive. And today's contestant on backing up a front wheel steer head cart. The back end of the trailer mimics the way the back end of your truck goes. It's just a little bit far behind usually. This is an art form. All right, I'll stop before I jackknife it. That's enough for today.
They need to make another type of Olympics that's not really athletic based, but it's based on tradesmen. Some kind of event where different trades around the world, farmers, you know, plumbers, electricians get together and test their abilities somehow. I really doubt I'd make the podium on backing up a head cart. I'm sure some of you guys are pretty good. Random projects to kill time while the beans dry. Unhooking the mower, or one of the mowers. All right, I brainstormed another event for our competition. Hooking and unhooking PTO shafts. It can be a real challenge.
Free and clear.
Just another mower in our mower collection.
It's not where those beans are supposed to go. It's supposed to stay up there.
Our first attempt at cutting these soybeans today came out 16% moisture, about 1% too high for what we're wanting to start putting them in that bin. Once you get to about 15%, you're good to store them.
They're really not that tough. These 4.0s have some good size to them.
When you bite on them, if you don't feel like you're gonna chip a tooth, they're probably too wet. So I guess we're gonna find a way to kill some time.
Taking the cart down to the field. One combine's running, the other one's sitting. Beans were 16% last time we checked. Hopefully they're closer to 15, maybe even 14 if we're lucky. Absolutely beautiful day outside. I mean, you really could not ask for better weather to harvest in. Double check and make sure I'm unhooked from the fuel tank. One of my personal biggest fears is that I'm gonna go somewhere, whether it be at the farm or a gas station, and leave the fuel hose in the tank, and when I pull away, forgetting about it, rip it out. I always triple check before I leave, but I'm afraid one of these days I'm gonna get out on the road and just see some rubber hose dangling behind me. Hasn't happened yet though, fingers crossed. Looks like I'm cutting it a little close here, as is tradition. Beans look dry. Are we gonna do this right here? Yes, we are. Now that's express service. Now imagine a world where I was good enough at my job where he could keep cutting and I could back this grain cart up straight in reverse along the road for him to dump. No chance of that ever happening. As a good grain cart driver, I like to follow the combine till I can find a nice spot to park that's completely in the way. That's what I'm good at. See, I told you I'd be in the way. We're running full speed now. Both combines are up. What in the world are those birds? Are those seagulls? They're trying to steal some of our beans. Go away. You look lost. I told Jeff to take it easy. He's kind of loaded like a rail car today. I still haven't quite figured out when the tractor's regenning, which you can tell by this temperature gauge and this exhaust looking thing here. If I'm better off shutting the tractor off and letting it run at a higher RPM when I'm out in the field, or if I should just sit here doing nothing at 1800 RPMs and just finish it. Eventually, if I put off the regenning long enough, it's going to tell me and limit my power pretty significantly. The first season we used this grain cart, we had it on the 8310R front wheel assist. When that tractor would regen and the grain cart had 1,200 bushels of heavy corn on it, man, it did not like to go uphill. It takes a surprising amount of power just to pull this kind of weight through the field efficiently. So our soybean bin that we've been filling over the last few days sporadically is finally full. Dad just darted up there to the farm in his truck to kind of help supervise the last few drops in the bin, which means I get to run the S-Series combine. And it looks like he left me with a mess. It's kind of rude just to take off like that and hand your combine over to someone with a problem. Maybe if I just raise the reel when I'm cutting, it'll go in. The S-Series combines are so nice on the inside. You can barely even hear the world outside you. Don't cool combine operators do something with their feet? Oh yeah, okay, there we go. There we go. Find something to rest it on. There's the window. Yep, I'm a professional. Also, the beans aren't bad. In terms of harvesting capacity, apples to apples, this combine is only a little bit better than a 9670 just because it has added horsepower. Ergonomics though, day and night difference. This combine's a Cadillac compared to that one. I mean, that's the biggest leap they made in the last few years in harvesting equipment, is that change to the S-Series. You could run this thing all day. Smooth, quiet, heated seat, refrigerator. What more could you ask for? It really kills my vibes when I'm out here working, listening to the radio, and then an ad comes on and it's politics and this and that. It's always so dramatic, so divisive, and so depressing. I don't like watching the news anymore. I don't like hearing the ads on the radio. I just listen to music, unfiltered entertainment. That's what I really appreciate about a lot of the farm YouTube channels and a lot of the trade YouTube channels out there. They don't really dive into politics. They don't put their opinion where it doesn't belong. They just stick to the day-to-day operations. Don't get overwhelmed in all this elections and politics and this and that. But don't get me wrong, those are extremely important to the future of our country, but there's a place for that. This channel doesn't exist for me to tell you guys how to live your life. It's just to give you a glimpse into how we live our lives out here. We got enough going on. Heck, I got 30 foot of draper to keep track of. And a lot of beans. A lot of them. This is why you need a draper. If you're using an auger style platform, trade it off tomorrow, or yesterday, or a year ago. Look at that feeding. Guess the grain tank's full. Cart's parked. Gotta go dump myself. I don't know who's in charge of driving that silly grain cart, but they're not doing a very good job. I'm gonna have to have a strong word with them sometime about their performance today. I can't tell if that's close or not. Chalk that up to a lucky guess. Wow, that is really far away. How do people do this all? A little bit on the front, a little bit on the back. Keeps the elevator man happy. That one's surprisingly smooth. Slow her down. Separator on. Head on. Speed her up. Auto steer, take me home. we're seeing the same trend in all of our fields. All the areas where the water did not sit and got off a fine, we're looking at tremendous yields. I mean, we're talking 80, 90, 100 bushel beans. Where the water sat, where the water's traveled through the field, ponded, we're looking at a lot worse beans. We're talking 50 to 60 bushel beans. For my area of the world, 50 to 60 bushel beans isn't a good year. We're looking for 70 plus bushel an acre averages. Realistically, I'd hope to get 80 plus. Unfortunately though, there's just enough areas out here in these fields where the water caused damage earlier on that it's just gonna drag our yield down. That's just the nature of farming. We play the hand we're dealt all season to the best of our abilities, and we wait and see how Mother Nature is gonna deal the cards. And it doesn't always work out in our favor. Now, 70 to 80 bushel beans is in our favor, but they could have been better. I could get used to running this thing. This may be the nicest job during harvest. We're cutting about 3.5 miles an hour in good beans. One of our fellow farmers in the area, a very competitive and aggressive operation, does a great job. They operate an S780 combine, so the newest series of combine, but also one size up. So it has the 13.5 liter engine, a 45-foot draper, so 50% more harvesting width than we run, and they can only get 3 miles an hour when the beans are dry. If you do the math on that though, that next size up in combine and almost half the size bigger of head gains them about 50% more harvesting capacity. Soybean harvest is always the most challenging part of farming in central Illinois, in my opinion. And it's really not that difficult most years as long as you stay on top of your opportunities to get out in the fields. I've had a lot of questions about why my sister Katie gets to run the other combine and I don't. Something you really have to keep in mind is that although one person may be in charge of the operation on the farm, not one person is more important than the other for the day-to-day success and smooth operation of the farm. My dad may call the shots, but it takes all of us working in unison to make this harvesting process go smoothly. Katie's been running a combine during harvest for longer than I've been back home from school. She's much more experienced running that, and a lot of times you're better off keeping people in the equipment that they're used to running as opposed to switching all the time. We keep everyone to their duty because that gives you proficiency. Proficiency comes with experience. For the same reason we don't put Katie in the grain cart, because I'm the person who's run it for the last 4 to 5 years. It makes more sense for me to do it because I understand the intricacies of that operation. Katie does an excellent job in the combine, and I honestly am appalled that some of you find it strange that a woman could do that. That's a nice rig. Who drives that? If I'm going to be running this combine, I really need to work on my combine operator personality. What do you mean you're dumping? The only dumping that matters is dumping the combine into the grain cart. Taking a leak? Why don't you find a bottle? Drive over here, let's dump. I swear, if this combine stops, you're not getting paid today. Yeah, so my auger's facing unharvested crops? Figure it out. You're catching the other combine right now? This combine is the only combine that matters. Just leave, don't even let them stop dumping, just leave, come over here, catch me. We got beans to cut. All right, I think I know what I'm doing now. We just need someone to hop in the cart so I can yell at him. By the way, that's all in good fun. No one's like that here. Except for Dad, if he didn't sleep well last night. Shh. Well, I plugged the head. That didn't take long. Nope. All right, one last shot. We're gonna raise the reel, climb out here and get this out. Just green stems. Plants are dead, but somehow the stems are still green. That's fungicide for you. Well, needless to say, I got fired. He always shows up at the worst time. I think he's bad luck sometimes. It's been over an hour and this silly 9460R is still trying to regen its particulate filter. I said, screw it. I'm just gonna park it and run the engine at full speed. That should burn it out. Or burn it up, I'm not sure. Don't get me wrong, I really appreciate what they're trying to do with these tractors. Cleaner emissions, more fuel efficiency, better environment. The way they're going about it though, not that reliable, and I think we may be losing efficiency on it. Someone just needs to tell her to calm down. He'll be all right. Oh, finally! Old gal did it. Also watching some Larson Farms here, stealing some of their trade secrets. There's a nice rustic old barn for those of you that like rustic old barns. Honestly, pretty impressive that it's still standing. That's got to be at least 100 years old. Older than the farmstead. Dad's cutting one of our last throughs of this field. The rest of the beans are going to be too wet to send to the elevator. We're pretty much about to call it quits for the day. We've got some rain in the forecast tonight. Really hoping that comes to fruition. It hasn't rained in 6+ weeks. Our beans would really enjoy it. The ground would soften up a little bit. I could pretty much make you a nearly endless list as to why I want to rain right now, but number one is so I can catch up on sleep and videos. With that pretty strong chance of moisture in the forecast, we're going to go ahead and clean the combines off and prepare to put them in the barn for the night. I really think if we're wanting a rain, we should leave them out because teams always do the opposite of what you prepare for. We're going to quit a little early tonight. The elevator's closed. We're running out of dry beans, and it's my granddad's 86th birthday. Not my granddad that's associated with this farm here. He passed away nearly 2 decades ago, but my maternal granddad, he's still a farmer, 86 years old, going hard at it. They really don't make him like they used to. He's full of grit, hard work, and determination. I'm really excited to take off and go celebrate his birthday. One, because we're quitting early. Two, they're having Mexican food catered. I mean, you have me at take off work early, but I'm sold completely at free Mexican food, buffet style. Jeepa, I know you're not one to watch farming videos on YouTube, but happy birthday to you. Everyone in the comments below, make sure you wish him a happy birthday. Dusty. Looks like rain. Combine's pretty much cleaned off. Does anyone else love the sound of raw, unfiltered, no emission system diesel power? Nice hum to it. Few aggressive brake checks to kind of get the loose ones out of there. One combine's headed home. Hope it rains. Well, at least he can find solace knowing that his body's worth at least $9 per 60 pounds as soybeans. Let's take them in. We're gonna find out if the grain cart's too tall for this barn. That's a lot of grain cart for not very much barn. Moving head carts home. Run some diesel on this one. Took the auger off the north bin. They're pretty much free to go wherever we need them now. Hopefully here in the next couple days we'll start picking some corn while we wait for these beans to dry. Well, I think that's enough farming for one video. We're progressing along really well with soybean harvest. I'd say we're getting close to 60 to 65% done. We've virtually run out of dry beans. Either we're waiting on some more dry weather or we're waiting on this rain tonight to hopefully knock some more of that matter off of those beans and let them dry a little bit faster. We're taking off early to go celebrate my grandpa's 86th birthday. Thank you guys for tuning in. I really appreciate your support. Like the video if you enjoyed it, subscribe if you want to see more, and comment if you have any questions. You know I love to talk about farming. Have a great night, everyone. Peace!